Greetings and welcome to the Inner Den. My goodness, I have had some excitement this week, so I'm just going to jump right in. It's like apocalyptic times where I'm living right now. I'm in the middle of the fires in Vernon. And yeah, it's been a ride. It has had me recapitulating my move in 2018 when the fires surrounded us in Cranbrook, which Kristina was also a part of, as she would come from Calgary and help me move. And round two, here we are again in Vernon, kind of going through the same scenario. But there's an elevated version happening. Because also in 2018, that area, I was diving deep into an apprenticeship and didn't have the tools that I have now almost 10 years later. And so it's like the universe went, you like dancing with fire horse year? Let's see how well you can dance with fire. So today we talk about fire. And it was interesting because the woman who does the equine therapy, she's also in the book that we just launched yesterday, Lucia Jacobs from Linking Awareness. She was the one that said everybody talks about the fire horse and what that means, but can you actually ride the fire horse? And now here we are. She's evacuated. She had to move her horses and her animals and the dogs, the kittens, like she's got baby kittens out there. And so it's been very interesting witnessing people that I would consider masters in their field navigate this space. Because in 2018, it was chaotic and my partner could not handle it. So I also had to hold that masculine space and make the decisions and do all that thing. And now in this space, I don't have to. I have somebody saying, come here, you're safe here. What do you need? There's a different level of support that's come in emotionally and physically and spiritually. And yes, clearly there's been some anxiety, clearly. However, the moment of standing in my house, and I'll post a picture in the video while I'm talking about this, so you can see how close the evacuation zone is from my space. When he's like, come up to the top of the mountain where I am. It's about 45 minutes away. And elevation is probably 7,500 feet. So like it's way farther away. But standing in my house, looking at all my sacred objects, all the things I've accumulated from all over the world that meant something, you really drop into the teachings that what matters? Life. And so the day that I chose to GTFO, I felt like I was in witness and observer at the same time. I was that higher version of myself watching when I went into freeze, because I did have some freeze moments where I sat on my bed and just looked around and went, am I okay if I never see any of this again, ever? It's one thing to be separated and move and take your shit. It's another thing for Mama Nina to come in and wipe it clean to ash, right?
Yeah.
And so there was about 4 hours that I had this ceremonial space where I said goodbye to my stuff. I said goodbye to it all. I've got a Toyota RAV4. It's a half decent back seat when you put the seats down. I filled the back. And then I said goodbye to the rest of it. Things that can never be replaced. Things that are original handmade from Peru, power objects that were gifted to me by teachers, my drums, like all my musical instrument, like everything. I had a carload and that was it. And I'm not in the evacuation zone. I treated this as an experiment because there was something in my bones, and then calling Kristina and saying, am I overreacting? I have such a deep respect for fire. And people in this area literally had 15 minutes evacuation notice to get the fuck out. I don't regret the pre-plan, even though I'm not in the evacuation zone, because at 115-kilometer-an-hour winds that we're ripping through, it's not going to take long for that fire to climb over the ridge and come down to the lake where I am. What's interesting when you're in PTSD and recovering from that brain injury, I still had to phone 3 people and say, am I overreacting? Am I overreacting? Am I overreacting? And my son, why are you even asking me? Get the fuck out. And so this has been my world for the last couple of days. I actually can't even tell you how many, I don't even remember when I'm so in the present moment right now. I can't even tell you when I came up here. Has it been 3 days or 2 days, 3 days?
Something like that.
Yeah. I thought it was over the weekend.
Yeah. And so the lessons that are coming out and really observing and watching and witnessing how my physical body is reacting this time, and then also recapitulating how it was last time and holding both. It's been fascinating. It's been fascinating to witness myself, witness the humans around me, watch how it's being presented on the news, understanding that there's now an arsonist out there that's doing it on purpose. They're tracking somebody.
I didn't know
Out
that.
by Sparkling Hill, the resort that I worked at, somebody's lighting fires up there. My human came home from work and he said, yep, they're tracking somebody right now.
Wow.
And that's across the lake from my house. So it's still in the zone that I am. It's still in my awareness. It's in my field, right?
Yeah.
So that's a lot to hold. And one of our co-authors from Shamanic Leadership, Grace Cohn, she just went through this last year, the fire in Jasper, Alberta, and it wiped to ash. She lost 2 homes, and we supported her through that. And then we know Heather Ash, a former teacher, she lost her land, how much land she lost. Like, it's just very interesting watching and witnessing and learning from our previous humans in our worlds, how they dealt with it. And now it's my turn again. Again. So that has been pretty wild. And I'd love some reflection back, Mishawn, because I know you also dance very intimately with fire. So what came up for you witnessing and watching me go through this?
Yeah, and there's the flip side of fire, and it's not the flip side, right? It is the always side, is that its method of transformation can be very destructive, right? It can wipe out things. And at the same time, there are literally seeds and plants and things that will not grow until that fire burns through. Right. And so if we try to apply that back to our own personal lives, it's a metaphor and it's not very comforting to talk about it in that metaphoric way, right? Oh, you're going to find some seeds later and they're going to grow from this. Because it hasn't burned through your home yet, but it could and it can. And you've had to have that, like you've said, that separation, that letting go of your personal items in relationship to it. But whether it's this fire, wildfire, fire walk, we're always being asked to kind of show up in a different way, to be in relationship with fire in a different way. And I've seen people that have been burned in fire and experienced house fires that they had to escape from, literally use fire walking as a method of healing because it is a way for them to change their relationship with the fire now. It's not something that took from them. Right now, they can use it for a method of empowerment. And I hope that's able for those of you that experience that in your area to have happen. But I know that's not going to happen after just 2 weeks after the fire goes out. No, we're talking about maybe in a year you can look at fire a different way and not have as much of a trauma response or PTSD response to it. And right, there's always the end. There's always, I could give you a half a dozen examples of fire in a good way, right? The one that we discount the most and is our first and foremost relationship with fire is the sun. We don't exist without that star and that fire here. And I could say this about any of the elements, right? We could say it about water. It can destroy. We've seen it flood places, air, tornadoes, right? Earth, earthquakes. Mother Nature has its way of doing what it needs to do to take care of itself. And yeah, it doesn't really care what you think.
Fact.
Or feel. Yes.
That's a human thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, that is just how the elements operate.
Yeah, absolutely. Kristina, how has this been for you?
I'm anxious for you to, maybe excited for you to show the picture, the map, to show where your home is in relation to where the fires were burning. Because when you sent that to me and said, am I overreacting? Of course not. Like you said, I walked through this in Cranbrook with you. I came from Calgary and I drove that 5 hours
Through the smoke.
to your house. It took longer because I was stopping to pick up your then husband at work and coming down. And I remember when I got there and it was whatever, 5, 6 in the evening. And the plan had been, we're going to stay tonight. We're going to pack 3 cars and we're going to head out tomorrow morning. And we weren't there half an hour. And it was no, we're loading the cars. We're leaving tonight because you could see the fire. You could see the smoke. And this is closer. This one is even closer for you.
This one's even closer. Yeah.
And like you said, people get 15 minutes, if they're lucky sometimes, to evacuate. So the fact that you were proactive and you looked at this and you said, okay, while I still have a somewhat clear head, how am I going to get out of there? I don't think you are overreacting at all. And fire moves fast. I've been really lucky that I haven't personally been a victim to fire. I don't know. I like to think maybe I'm protected because I do have Leo's a sun sign and I have something like 5 fire, 4 Leos in my chart. That being said, I might think that, but none of us are immune. The closest I've come way back some 30 years ago where I nearly set a Blockbuster store on fire that I worked at. And the fire trucks, when they came, yes, the fire started, said, if you guys had locked and walked away and not noticed the smoke coming out of the cupboard, within minutes, this building would have been leveled. And it was just careless, not thinking. We used these heavy duty heat guns and I just put it away where we always put it, under the cupboard, but it was still hot. And it was stored with jackets. We learned a lesson, but that could have been devastating too. I think it's that healthy respect and just acknowledging where you're at. And you had the presence of mind to do that.
Yeah. And I do believe, and I am very grateful. I have been thinking about Mishawn a lot, thinking about Heather Ash a lot, and so grateful for some of the things that we learned in that apprenticeship because it saved my ass this week. Having those teachings and not just having them here. 10 years of integration. Sitting in my room and going and literally saying goodbye to my stuff, not knowing if I'm ever going to see it again, and not having a nuclear meltdown. I was like, it is what it is. Thank you for your service. And then there was a part of me that went, maybe it does need to burn down for me to move, because there's attachment. There's attachment to your stuff. And in our Toltec apprenticeship, we did a lot of work around attachment and what to let go of. It's not just people, it's things, right? So many humans get hooked on the, I gotta have this, I gotta have this, I gotta have this to be accepted by society, like that conditioning and that programming. And there was this lady, because of course, part of the diligence is also staying attuned to what is happening. So, yes, I'm checking the emergency weather stuff. I'm checking the Facebook groups every couple hours, because that fire by my house went from this to this in 2 hours. It can rip and devastate communities in hours. And so I was doing that. And there was this one lady that really hooked my attention when I was listening to her. And she was the news, whatever channel it was, doesn't matter, doing a live kind of thing, talking to some of the evacuees. And she was in nuclear meltdown because of the unknown. That's what she was saying. I don't even know if my house is still standing. And that's why she was upset. She did not know. And all the teachings around the controller and needing to know, people who have the anxiety, the need to know, that's what had unraveled her.
Feeling called out here.
Huh?
Feeling a little called out, need to know.
Yeah. And so when I was listening to her, I was like, yeah, I can see the beginning of my journey. I said goodbye to my stuff. Do I need to keep checking? And then I just handed it over to my partner, because he gets way faster information than what I'm going to find on Facebook, right? And then you learn that some of the information that's coming out is not updated, is false, is la la. And today I was like, okay, I'm going to go back down and see for myself and pick up some things and get my air purifier, because the smoke is bad. This is the worst smoke that I've had is today.
And honestly, the smoke is probably can be a little bit more detrimental, especially for those of you who are hanging out within smoke vicinity.
And the whole city. And it's not just here, like south of us, Washington State has now declared a state of emergency. Spokane's getting wiped off the map. There, and that's directly below us. So for people who are trying to understand where Vernon is, we're right above Washington and like that area. We're right above that, 5-6 hours. So it's the same little contained spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you said your actual location is not in the evacuation zone. I know what photo you're talking about, obviously, that you've shown.
Yeah.
So literally, because your house though is not in the evacuation zone,
and it's that close.
Yeah, it's just across from it. And that's probably has to do with the way the winds are blowing, things like that. I don't know how they determine what is an evacuation zone.
Mhm.
Yeah. Interesting. Are they pulling water from the lake?
Oh, honestly, if I had to prioritize what was causing me the most anxiety, it's not the fire itself. You guys have seen the views from my space. I'm on the water line, right? Front. They're using that water for the helicopters to scoop, right? To scoop. So it sounds like a military zone. The helicopters, the planes, the diving, the scooping of the water and picking it up. It's like being in a war zone.
That's scary.
There's triggers back to where I lived in the States. We were right beside a hospital, and I was listening to that and then living with what was happening inside my house. I felt like I was in a war zone there. And then being at my house, it's the same sound, the helicopters and all the stuffs. That was more triggering to me than thinking that my house was going to be leveled. I've had a couple of days of reprieve. I have not left up here. And when I went down today, pulled into my driveway and could hear the helicopters, see the helicopters, and I felt my nervous system ramp up again. And I was like, 2 years later, that's still a thing. And then up here, it's dead quiet. I'm on the edge of the resort where this house is. Outside of the deck, it's just straight down. We're literally on a mountain peak. There's nothing up
So it
here.
would never come up there?
Huh?
There's no way for the fire to get up there.
Well, I think it could.
It's a mountain. It could if
But that's just not the way it normally moves across your guys' terrain.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay.
Exactly. And this is a ski hill. It's a resort, right? It's a ski resort.
Yeah.
And they have spent the last couple of years putting in fire protection barriers. And so there is an added level of support here. But if a lightning strike comes into the village, like,
yeah,
if Mama Gaia wants to flatten it, humans can try to prevent.
Yeah.
But the elements will always win. We're like little ants. We're just another living colony here in the bigger picture, right?
Yeah.
And one of the more weaker species. We think that we're so intelligent, but and there's houses that are still out without power, and they're saying that there's going to be no power for a long time. And they're saying that the water supply, don't drink the water, which is fascinating because before we left for our trip, the summer camp, I just had this feeling. I'm like, Kristina has this power bank for her phone, like a portable charger with all the little hooky things. And I'm not exactly sure why, but I was like, I think I need one of those, but I need a solar powered one. For some reason, if the power goes out, I need some way to keep my electronics powered. Never have I had that thought, ever. And so I got online and found one. And then I thought, what else do I need if the grid goes down? I had no idea where these were coming from. What else do I need? And I found the drinking straw things that you can put into the lake and then get clean water out. And I bought 2 of those too. And now parts of Vernon have no electricity and are not allowed to drink the water. So it does pay to listen to your intuition. And my human, we're going to go out to Salmon Arm, which is about 45 minutes to an hour from here. And it's still within fire range. There's just no evacuation alerts or orders, but there's fires over there too. And you think plan B and plan C, like the more you're prepared, the better it is. And so I said, so what happens if we get out there and the fire comes again? And I'm thinking in my head, it's a really good thing I bought those straws. And he said, you just get on the paddle boards and you just sit on the lake until it's done. So I got my straws, got my power bank, got snackies. The dogs have their life jackets.
Maybe a fishing pole. That's all.
Right. Oh, see, smart. That is smart, because then we got foods.
You got plenty of fire, so you're good.
Seriously. And yeah, and you're right. Until things like this happen, you don't have these conscious thoughts. You just live in your life thinking that society is going the way it's going. But have we not been talking about what happens if this is what's happening in the world? Where are we going? Not only how are we going to show up, now it's going to change to, are we prepared? So conversations that I have not had happened this week. And of course, and then I'm like, okay, if can't stay in BC, then I could go to Calgary with where Kristina and my son are. I could keep going to Saskatchewan and go stay with my dad. And then he's like, yeah, you could do that. And I need to stay here because he's part of the Guardian of the Water team. And essential services, the front line, they make choices to stay. So
do you feel like you have another decision coming at you, or what are you indicating here? Just mentioning it, or yeah?
yeah,
I mean, obviously right now it's not on the table, but you're basically
Yeah.
saying it could become on the table, or I'm gonna have to choose to
right,
face some other stuff. Yeah.
because brand new relationship, 6 weeks in, went on 3 dates. Now I'm living here. You know, it's like that's a lot.
That's riding the fire horse.
He's a Leo too, just saying. Rar. So yeah, it's and so I also, now that you've brought that up, had to do some recapitulating because I chose to move to the States under the guise of I had nowhere to live and had to move anyways. And oh, you can just come and stay here if we're going to do a business together. And now the fire's wiping out and you can come and stay here.
So this seems like the same.
But the energy's different.
Oh, yes, but yeah.
And the pretenses are different.
I think it's also an opportunity to practice the vulnerability without giving away your power.
Yeah.
And to show up differently. Because if you wouldn't be getting the masculine energy support if you were bringing the masculine energy to the table.
Exactly. And that's what happened in my previous marriage that Kristina literally, now that I'm recapitulating this out loud, this is real time, right? I had to hold the masculine energy with the fire with Cranbrook. And I pulled in Kristina for the divine feminine support because there was no support coming from my partner. And then the second one with moving to the States, knowing now the manipulation behind why he wanted me there, it was dark. And this one is showing up completely different, allowing me to stay in that space. And there was like I said, I had that freeze moment in the house, like when I had that experience and got on the phone with Kristina. I told him about that when I got here. He said, just so you know, I am very capable of strategic situations and I'm here if you need me for that. And my whole body just melted and I went, oh shit, that was a trauma response. I didn't even allow him. I didn't call him at all. I did the packing by myself. I did the organizing by myself. And when I needed that strategic, tell me what to do next, I phoned Kristina because of the connection and the history and that we've already done this, right? And so proven that there was going to be holding there. And so there was a click in my brain when he said that to me because it was so soft and so gentle and a reminder that don't forget I'm here for you. You don't have to do this by yourself. And then last night when we were having dinner, I brought it up and said, I've been really thinking about what you said the other day when I shared. And looking back, I was in a trauma response. I was in a freeze. And it was very good for me to walk myself through that. And allow the support. So even being able to have, this is crisis stuff. 6 weeks in, that's pretty heavy for a brand new relationship, right? And like I said, he's dealing with it at work. And so it's been humbling to have a soft place to land. Because I'm always the one doing the holding. Yeah.
But like you said, once you hit that moment of, I guess it's the trauma, that moment of freeze that you have, it's one of the biggest challenges in this work is to step into a different reaction, because once our bodies and our nervous system get so stressed and so taxed, it is going to go to the pre-established neural pathways in your brain, and that is going to be how you've always handled it, or how you've always successfully handled the most of your challenges in life. And if that was with masculine energy, that's what right away comes in and tries to take the protector role. That's our protector self shows up. And
Yeah, protect your goddess, right? That's what the
yeah,
avatar's job is, right? And when you've been dropped so many times, to allow another human to step in and hold that space so that you can relax back into the feminine. I've never experienced that under these kind of circumstances. And it was the communication and the energy that he brought that instantly shifted me back in where we like to be. We can hold that warrior, but when you do it for a long time, you get resentful because that's not our natural, authentic way to be. So yesterday I spent all day in my divine feminine space, because a couple days ago it's just bringing bags of stuff in here and just leaving it laying all over. Then I don't know about you, but then the feng shui of the place, and there's crap everywhere, and then you're in someone else's space, and yeah. And so yesterday was the first day he went to work, and I was here by myself. And I just nested all day. It was get into that space and create and feng shui and find the net, like nesting. I just call it all day.
the question, if they put the fires out tomorrow, let's say, like how long before evacuated people would go back? You know what I'm saying? Like, how long do you think you're going to be there up there? It's the real.
That's the thing, right? I'm literally in the unknown because the fires are still out of control. They're not contained.
Yeah.
And so I have absolute, oh, hang on, the dogs are barking.
And
Okay.
aren't hotspots a thing too once fires are put out?
Huh?
Sorry, my voice got all cracky. Aren't hotspots a thing too once fires are put out? They can reignite in places, and like I think it takes some time. Yeah, I think years and years ago, they were still talking about hotspots 6 months after fires.
Even that one on Heather Ash's property started from roots that were underground burning.
Wow.
And was it like 180 acres or something went up?
Yep. I don't know. I don't remember the acreage. It was a large amount of acres.
Large amount. Yeah, so I have no idea. And it all depends on the weather, right? We're once again at the mercy of Mama Gaia.
That is one thing with even moving out to the country here, where I'm not on a city fire route. I'm on rural stuff, so volunteer fire departments and things. I have completely changed my own, I don't know, is the word's not courage or bravery, it's more like arrogance is the right word. My arrogance with ability to do things that I would feel more comfortable doing in a drought near a city where I know there is a 24-hour staffed fire department if things got out of control. Whereas out here, if things get out of control, it could be 20 minutes or more before someone showed up with any water. And that's going to be whatever the truck can carry because there isn't a hydrant. So yeah, like that, the whole dance with that relationship changes as you realize the services aren't as at hand, and you are in an area where the services are definitely at hand and it's still right on your front door.
Exactly. Exactly. And we make choices. I
Yep.
chose to live in the mountains. You chose to live on the outskirts of Texas on a 10-acre ranch by yourself. We make choices.
Yeah. And you would think living on a lake by water, fire wouldn't have
Right?
to be your concern.
Right. And that's the wild part, because the major part of what's burned, it was literally, it came right down to the water and wiped out cabins right along the beach for
Wow.
miles. So people
Wow.
think just because you're living by water that you're safe, and that is categorically not true.
Yeah.
And even living in Cranbrook, when I experienced the Cranbrook fire, we drove out to Moye, which was 15 minutes from our house, and Moye is a great big lake, and we watched the fire go all the way down to the lake and then literally race up the mountain right to the top and crest and go over the other side. We witnessed it within an hour. It had devastated the entire side of the mountain, right from the water all the way to the peak. So you work with fire.
Yeah.
Why don't you go into some of the stuff that you teach with the fire walking, with how to work with the fire?
One of the main things that's coming up for me is there's a couple of things I'll go through, like beliefs or expectations versus reality about the fire walk. And the one that's coming up for me right now for this story is it's not about proving how tough you are. Right. A lot of people come to these empowerment events or high adrenaline activities with, I got to prove that I can do this. But really, the fire walk doesn't, not the fire walk, the fire does not care about your toughness, the size of your muscles, what your pain threshold is, or anything. And normally, what I would say are these are the voices that are like saying, I can't, I'm not ready, I'm not enough. Those are some of those voices that feed that. But in this particular situation, what's coming in for me is, it's that I do respect the fire. I am going to listen to this intuition. It is time to go. I do need to grab these things. And where this will take you or what kind of rite of passage that is, we won't know. And you won't know until you're looking back at it in the rear view, right? And the other part about it is the part where we really teach about the noom. So remembering that fear is energy, and we can use fear as just energy. Right? What are we doing with the fear? Are we bringing it into our heart? Are we using it to raise our energy? Or are we using it to make decisions that aren't really in our best interest or limiting ourselves, for instance? And in your case, if you stay in a fire, you're going to limit your life. So again, it's like how you're looking at it. What is the fire doing? Most of what we're teaching when I'm at the fire walk is how do we match our energy to meet the fire's energy and be as great or higher than the fire's energy. You can use your own fear to raise that energy up. So that's one of the big things. The other thing that is really important for me to remind people of and teach people at these events is that our bodies are capable of far more than we actually utilize. When you think about how much of our DNA we don't understand or know what is there for, when you think about the viewable spectrums that we cannot see or perceive with our senses the way they are, but other things, even on this planet, animals, lizards, things can perceive these other dimensions and frequencies. And when you're talking about destruction, this isn't very comforting to know these things. But I just recently burned myself. I melted myself, and it wasn't really on fire. It was on a hot rock that was surrounding the fire that my arm brushed up against, right? And normally I can take, if even like these days, because of the relationship I have with fire, if I burn myself, say, on the stove or I touch something hot, I can typically still breathe that energy up into me. It doesn't always work. And in that case, it absolutely did not work. And again, I wish I could tell you that you're not going to hate fire tomorrow, or that you're not going to have a negative impression of the element in the future as destruction comes across. I wish I could tell you that's not going to happen, but it more than likely is, because this is something that you've been hurt by or felt pain or trauma from. And then it becomes, how do you change your relationship with that pain or that trauma? Especially knowing that it wasn't like the fire was like, I see Angel there, let me go for her house. It's like intentionally coming after you. And if you're in the path of it, it's coming after you. Get out of it. So that's the bigger thing. And yeah, I guess the other really big thing is there are a multitude of things that you can approach. I'm sure you have an obstacle in your life right now that may even seem like a fire coming at your house, coming at you to burn you down, right? I don't know what that obstacle is for you, anybody personally, but who do you become when that fire is coming towards you? Whether it's destructive, whether it's supporting, are you calm, or do you go into anxiety or some other response, freeze, hesitate, doubt, or do you push forward without any presence and risk getting burned, right? What is our relationship? What is our consciousness with the element? Yeah.
Fire definitely has been one of my greatest teachers. Just what Kristina said, being a fire element myself, having my sun in Leo and my Venus in Leo. And then having fire be such an integral part of our apprenticeship. And circling back to what you said about you can't have ego around fire. We've experienced it. I can remember one of our sisters burning her feet terribly because of trying to show something that she could do when she wasn't physically healthy. It was after a surgery. And I had volunteered to take her to the hospital and had to witness the doctors judging her and shaming her. What do you mean you're walking on fire? How stupid could you be? And heard these things come out of medical professionals' mouths. And that was really hard, because people who don't step outside of their comfort zones or stretch in the way that we choose to stretch, they don't understand. But for me, I chose to pay attention when that happened. Having to be able to hold space for her, walking her through that experience, I chose to learn from her experience. We don't always learn from other people's experiences, but that taught me a lot. That taught me a lot. And then the next time there was a fire walk that I was helping with, I chose not to walk because I didn't feel like I needed to challenge the fire, and I held space for everybody else. And then the other time I went, and those were all as participants. And then the one time I did actually get to help and serve and assist, I was just so blessed that Ash put me with you. And my first time assisting alone without our teacher around was with you. And so full circle, here we are going through this, and you're here holding again. It's just so cool. Yeah. So very grateful for walking this path with you.
Yeah, and I guess I want to touch just a little bit on the person you're referencing. Again, it was she wanted to do something that she had always done before.
Yes.
Which wasn't just walking on fire. She had a particular thing that she was able to do and love to do. And she really thought that that was going to help her heal. And, and so it's a great lesson in knowing our limits and when we can bring our energy up to meet the fire or be greater than the fire, and when we need to call in that support or that help or evacuate.
Or evacuate. Yeah, you cannot bring your ego to the fire because you will get burned. Yeah. And that's also why going through this, I didn't choose to just rely on my own intuition. And this is where community comes in. This is where the healthy relationships come in. Because yes, we don't want to give our power away, but in these kind of situations, support's necessary. Humans, we're supposed to be in community. Just last night, there was a conversation here about healthy attachments. We are communal creatures.
Yeah,
But accepting support is not necessarily giving away your power. There's a
Right.
difference.
absolutely.
Yeah. I'm very grateful for your both. Thank you so much, both of you, for supporting me through this and having such a wonderful conversation. I just love the relationship that we have all built with fire. It's funny, it's intimate and collective all at the same time. They both can exist, right? And yeah, stay tuned because I have no idea what next week is. I don't even know what in 5 hours what it's going to look like. This is when you really get to practice that present moment and full surrender. It's going to be what it's going to be, and sometimes, like you said, Mishawn, that full destruction is what is needed to move forward. And why create suffering around it? That's your experience. That's your experience. What's next? Yeah. So, with our dreaming moving forward, for me, it's about staying present with myself, maintaining my nervous system this week, allowing myself to have support and surrender and not having to be in the masculine. So that's going to be my work this week.
And I want to just encourage you to remember that's all outside your, not completely outside your comfort zone, but living in that space it's outside your comfort zone. So that's just a reminder to say, hey, right? Because we tend to, again, have those past responses of our past selves when we get into these odd places outside our comfort zone. Yeah.
And that's the community support comes in, right? And
Yeah.
having those healthy relationships that you can rely on and do the check-ins and all that. That's why I'm so grateful that we do this once a week. We talk about that all the time. This is important for people to do this, to have people that they can trust and have that second opinion after you've made your decision, right? Kristina said, you don't give your power away, but that does not mean community is not important.
Yeah.
So yes. Love you guys. Thank you so much. And hopefully we'll see you next week.